Good Saturday morning, everyone. Woo. Holy smokes.
Big Saturday morning.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any more crazy, it has.
Yeah, if you were writing a script for it, there are a lot of shows out there that are trying to show exactly what it's like in the White House or running for office. You could not write the script if you tried.
The circus.
The screenplay that is the 2016 election just took a big twist as the FBI inserted itself back into the race and back into Hillary Clinton's case.
Yeah, brand new emails now under review this morning as the Democratic nominee calls on FBI Director James Comey to release everything they have.
Yeah, and we've got Fox News team coverage this morning from John Roberts. He is in Golden, Colorado, following the Trump campaign. But first, we go to Mike Emanuel. He has the latest details in this investigation, the fallout from the Clinton campaign. Mike, good morning. What are you hearing?
Abby, Tucker, Clayton, good morning to you. A brief letter from FBI Director James Comey to relevant Congressional Committee chairman really set off a political earthquake at a critical stage in this presidential campaign. Hillary Clinton and her team were on their way to Iowa yesterday when the news broke. Federal law enforcement officials say they discovered emails deemed to be pertinent to the closed investigation into Hillary Clinton's private email server. That less than 2 weeks before Election Day left Clinton and her team scrambling. Last night, Clinton called on the FBI director to explain what caused him to take these investigative steps.
The director himself has said he doesn't know whether the emails referenced in his letter are significant or not. I'm confident, whatever they are, will not change the conclusion reached in July. Therefore, it's imperative that the Bureau explain this issue in question, whatever it is, without any delay.
Director Comey sent a letter to FBI employees writing, quote, "We don't ordinarily tell Congress about ongoing investigations, but here I feel an obligation to do so, given that I testified repeatedly in recent months that our investigation was completed. I also think it would be misleading to the American people were we not to supplement the record." Fox has confirmed the emails were discovered in the probe of disgraced New York Congressman Anthony Weiner, former New York Congressman Anthony Weiner's alleged sexting of an underage girl. Weiner is the estranged husband of Clinton's top aide, Huma Abedin. The New York Times is reporting it is tens of thousands of emails belonging to Abedin that were on Weiner's laptop. Fox has reported it is a significant number of emails and that this investigation will not be complete by Election Day. Abby, Tucker, Clayton.
That's just unbelievable. Mike Emanuel, thanks a lot for joining us this morning. So here you have, look, there's a lot we don't know, but here's what we do know. It is entirely possible, it looks indeed it might be likely, that government information wound up on Anthony Weiner's laptop. So that right there is just a showstopper.
Right.
If you want a illustration, graphic illustration of the irresponsibility of the way they handled information, this is Anthony Weiner's laptop? Are you joking?
From a separate investigation that they were looking into him, obviously texting underage girls. So the saga goes far beyond just this email investigation.
Yeah, multiple devices, too. I mean, they've seized these laptops, the cell phones, so 4 different devices with tens of thousands of potential emails in this unrelated case from the FBI looking into this. I think it's interesting, though, that she's calling for a releasing of all of this information. She's saying, look, get it out there. I want to see all of these, all of the investigation related to my email.
Because when you think transparency, you think of Hillary Clinton and her campaign for president. You know, sort of get it all out there.
Well,
actually,
that's what's weird about it is now she's doing press conferences. We haven't seen this before, which is a very clear sign that they are nervous about this. They know this. As long as this is a headline, as long as we are talking about the Justice Department, the FBI, and her emails, this is bad news for Hillary Clinton and her campaign, and she knows that.
So Trey Gowdy, of course, is a member of the House Judiciary Committee, and he's a Republican and a partisan, but he's also a pretty thoughtful guy. And he has a way of summing things up pretty crisply. Here's his summation of what we just saw yesterday. Watch.
This is the same person who said I neither sent nor received classified information. This is the same person who said I turned over all my work-related emails. I only had one device. My lawyers went through everything. That's the same person calling that now wants all of this public disclosure. The same person who went to great lengths to make sure that these emails were private now all of a sudden wants it all made public. It's just too rich. It's easy to ask people you know cannot disclose things to do so. I mean, that makes her look transparent. But if it's a day that ends in Y, you can rest assured she's talked to Huma Abedin and Cheryl Mills. She knows exactly what is on those computers.
Well, that's the question. Has she talked to Huma Abedin? Of course. And she was asked that directly yesterday and she refused to answer.
Yeah, now they're suggesting that maybe that Uma's going to have to resign from. She's been her closest aide for years and years. This is just, as we are talking about, 10 days before this election. The timing of it, you cannot make up. And in politics, timing is everything, Clayton.
Well, James Comey, a few months ago was being praised by Democrats. Like, look, all right, we're done here. This is all over with now. And then if you read John Podesta's statement yesterday, her campaign chair, John Podesta, whose emails, of course, are at the center of all this, he came out with a blistering statement saying it's extraordinary that we would see something like this just 11 days out from the presidential election, slamming James Comey for rattling the election.
Well, the irony here is you've been hearing for the last year from Democrats and, frankly, from a lot of Republicans in Washington, character matters. It comes down to character. So what happens if Anthony Weiner winds up in your inner circle? It turns out maybe character matters.
Right.
Maybe there are consequences.
Yeah, do you want
when
this?
He's sexting a 15-year-old girl.
I mean,
this
is the kind of stuff on the front page of the paper this morning with Anthony Weiner on the front page of the New York Post.
And Hillary Clinton's face next to that. I mean, you don't want to be anywhere near that. So to your point of the Democrats who, after this all came out, this investigation, he had made his decision, they had sort of a love affair with James Comey. And now they're taking that back, saying this is all political. Here's what Dianne Feinstein said about that. She said, Director Comey's announcement played right into the political campaign of Donald Trump. The FBI has a history of extreme caution near Election Day so as to not influence the results. Today's break from that tradition is appalling. And you have to wonder, James Comey making this decision to come out yesterday, just 10 days before this election, this was a tough decision for him to make because he knows that if he came out with this 2 weeks, a month after the election had already been decided, he would have been in a very, very tough situation.
But also, we're not going to get to know what's in these emails till after the election anyway. And millions of people have already voted. I mean, tens of millions of people have already voted, so their ballots have already been cast. It's an interesting question. Would you change your vote if you knew that this information was out there?
I don't know how many votes this brings to the Trump side of the equation, but I do know that there are a lot of people, I think most people maybe, are asking themselves, do I really want to vote for someone who's under FBI investigation? Now, maybe you could say the FBI is totally crooked and in the pocket of the Republicans. Maybe you could indeed say that the system is rigged, which is all what Democrats are saying. Talk about a role reversal.
Yeah. Well, and that's all Donald Trump's been talking about for this entire election.
Well, he jumped right out on this.
System.
Of course, he jumped right out on this yesterday on the campaign trail, and that's where we're headed now. The Republican nominees praising the FBI for its decision to reopen this case.
And that's where we find John Roberts. He is live in Golden, Colorado. John, and Trump is calling this as bad or even worse than the Watergate scandal.
Abby, Clayton Tucker, good morning to you. What a difference a day makes. I mean, Donald Trump was excoriating the FBI up until yesterday at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and suddenly he's praising them. We are, by the way, in Golden, Colorado, just west of Denver at the fairgrounds here where Donald Trump's got an event. A couple of diehard fans already lining up for this event. They came all the way in from Nebraska. But let me just say that to the FBI investigation, the announcement yesterday, the FBI could not have handed Donald Trump a bigger gift if they'd wrapped it up in gold paper and tied it up with a big red bow. I mean, this is something that Donald Trump warned about weeks ago, saying he was very concerned about Anthony Weiner being in proximity to classified information. And where did the trail lead from Hillary Clinton's server to potentially going into his orbit? And it allows Donald Trump between now and November the 8th to absolutely hammer Hillary Clinton on this issue of corruption and bad judgment, like he did yesterday in Manchester, New Hampshire. Listen to this.
This is bigger than Watergate. This is bigger than Watergate, in my opinion. This is bigger than Watergate. Hillary bleached and deleted 33,000 emails after receiving a congressional subpoena. That alone, to me, there were more serious things done. But how does it get much more?
Trump said yesterday that this absolutely changes everything in terms of this race. His campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, tweeted out yesterday that this made a good day even better. Now, Tucker, you brought this up. Does it bring votes to Trump? The campaign thinks it might bring a few fence sitters over to Donald Trump, or at the very least may drive them to a third-party candidate like Gary Johnson or Jill Stein. But either way, you'd be taking votes away from Hillary Clinton. Here's what Kellyanne Conway said about this whole thing yesterday with Trish Regan on the Fox Business Network. Listen.
This is already her biggest problem in closing the deal and becoming president of the United States. People have such a reluctance to say, good Lord, how can I say I'm for change and disrupting the status quo in Washington, D.C., and I'm going to vote for Hillary Clinton, who's the consummate insider, a queen of the rigged, corrupt system.
So in the next couple of days, Donald Trump is going to visit 3 of the 4 corner states. He's going to be here in Colorado. He'll also be in Arizona and New Mexico, as well as Nevada. Here in Colorado, Hillary Clinton is up about 6 points. In Nevada and Arizona, She's up about 1.5. The Trump campaign says that they're going to New Mexico, traditionally a blue state, because they've got internal polling that shows the race pretty much even up there. They also show it even in Michigan, which is why he's going there on Monday, a state that many people thought was probably gone. But you'll remember this, Tucker, because I remember this. 2004, there was a brief moment where the Bush campaign thought that Hawaii might be in play. They sent Dick Cheney across the Pacific Ocean to go campaign there, and they still lost by 9 points. So
right.
who knows if New Mexico and Michigan is real, but Donald Trump's going to spend a day in each.
I remember that I had a friend on that plane flying to Hawaii. I think they were there for like 2 hours. So they went to the gift shop and came home.
I volunteered, but they said, no, you stay with President Bush.
Go to the cold states. Yeah, John Roberts, the great John Roberts. Nice to see you this
Thank
morning.
you, John.
He brings up a great point of this idea, these last minutes. So we talked about these 11 days, these undecideds, and what political fallout will we see from the FBI investigation? Those last minute sort of moral voters that haven't decided yet for Donald Trump. They haven't decided for Hillary Clinton. Could this be that thing that they just say, ugh?
Or if it becomes embarrassing in the way that voting for Trump is embarrassing to some people. If people say, you know what, I don't want to admit I'm voting for Hillary. That's the problem. But the core problem is, who does she blame for this? I mean, really, is she going to say the media is against me? That's a hard case to make. Is she the Justice Department is somehow right-wing? Well, it's just not. So really the truth is it's her fault. She's already conceded it's her fault, that she shouldn't have done this in the first place. So she's kind of stuck.
Yeah, the only person to blame for all of this is Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
I think deep down she knows that, and she's probably really spiraling out of control.
No, I bet she blames you.
Maybe it might be my fault too. But you mentioned the timing of this, and yesterday it being Friday, we call this the Friday news dump. But this actually ended an already bad week for Hillary Clinton, because it's not just this FBI investigation. We have had these WikiLeaks dumps every single day that just feeds right into this narrative of abusing the system, of getting paid for their speeches.
And perhaps bigger than that, though, Abby, could be the Obamacare premium increase.
Well, that too.
That bombshell that we were learning over the past week. And that's why I think you're also seeing this tightening of these poll numbers recently. Look at the Real Clear Politics national average right now. 4 points, basically, between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump in the Real Clear Politics average.
And how quickly that changes. And also in our polls, and if you look at them closely, the independents, 40% now identify as an independent voter among likely voters. That is really interesting to me, because if they've already made their decision, it is maybe Hillary Clinton, maybe it's Trump, but that means their decision at this point could still change.
Or they sit home and they don't go.
So what do these three stories have in common, briefly? The WikiLeaks, the Obamacare, and the Hillary email investigation, they're all reality-based. These are not perception-based.
Right.
I mean, Hillary really did use a private server. Her family really did get rich selling access, and Obamacare really is a disaster. So it's kind of hard to rebut those, no?
No, it's tough. They're going to, the Democrats are going to be on the defense now, which they haven't been for a few weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out.
Wow. Explode our Facebook page this morning. Go to FF Weekend on Facebook. Let us know what you think about all of these things.
Yeah,
this trifecta.
we're going to be here the next 4 hours talking about it. So we've got a big show ahead. But when we come back, what Congress plans to do about the latest bombshell in Hillary Clinton's email scandal. Florida Congressman and committee member Ron DeSantis is on deck. There he is.
And a brand new scandal for the Attorney General's office that has Loretta Lynch pleading the fifth.
And complete facts immediately. The director himself has said he doesn't know whether the emails referenced in his letter are significant or not. I'm confident, whatever they are, will not change the conclusion reached in July.
Hillary Clinton, of course, demanding the FBI director, James Comey, release all the documents related to the new email investigation we learned about yesterday.
And joining us now to react, Florida Congressman Ron DeSantis. He's a member of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, and he joins us this morning. Nice to see you this morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
So Hillary Clinton says she wants all of these documents released. She wants everything out there public because there's nothing significant here. Do you think that James Comey would reopen this investigation if there was nothing significant there?
No, I mean, there were very significant things that we thought should have been actionable to begin with. And he said the case is over, we're moving on. He testified before the Judiciary Committee in September, and there were members actually asking him, will you reopen it given this? And he basically said, no, no, no. So now the fact that he took this step, I think, is very significant.
Well, where does this go from here? Because people are deciding who they're going to vote for. And if it ends up being Hillary Clinton, this could play out for a very long time. We don't know what the outcome will ultimately be. As people are trying to make up their minds, where do you see this investigation going? How should they be thinking about it? Because that is a big deal when you're thinking about who's our next president.
I think it's very unlikely that there will be resolution before the election. And so people can go into the voting booth, know that this is something that's hanging over her head, not only the emails, but then the link with Anthony Weiner, which makes it even more unseemly. And so that's just the reality of the situation.
So if you had information that you were afraid of, that it might fall into the hands of a foreign government, do you think Anthony Weiner's laptop is an appropriate place to store it?
No, and I think that that's one of the frustrations about this whole thing is that you're talking about top secret information that I'm not allowed as a member of Congress with a top secret clearance. I'm an officer in the Navy Reserve. I'm not even allowed to view some of these because I don't have the right to know that. And that ends up on private servers and potentially with Anthony Weiner. And here's the thing. A military official, enlisted guy, officer, if they would have allowed that to happen, set up a parallel communication system with top secret information, they would have faced court-martial without question.
Right.
What happens now for Huma Abedin?
Well, I think that this whole thing, I mean, say Hillary does get elected, there's a cloud overhead, her whole inner circle potentially she would want him to be a part of the White House, give him security clearance. There'll be a huge fight in Congress over that. I'm sorry, the average person who would have handled this information the way they did, they would not be entrusted with classified information in the future.
Yeah. 4 different devices that they seized from her that, email communication, tens of thousands of emails between her, Anthony Weiner, all of this information on those devices. That's troubling.
Oh, yeah, without question. Well, you don't set up a parallel communication system knowing the type of information that you're dealing with on the State Department, and they made a conscious decision. That's why some of the Comey initial findings were frustrating, because he said, well, look, there was classified information, shouldn't have been there, should have known better, but there was no real intent here, and we're thinking about, what are you talking about? She intentionally set up this parallel system and knowing what would end up being put over that transom.
So not to sum up, you don't think that Anthony Weiner's involvement is reassuring?
No.
Okay, Congressman, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Good to have you.
All right, coming up here on the show, how are Democrats defending Hillary Clinton? What does this mean for her campaign? We have Richard Fowler. He is on deck next.
Last President Obama said you would save money under Obamacare. So why are so many customers skipping their doctor's appointments? That is coming up.
23 minutes now past the hour. Chaos in the cabin. A plane bursting into flames on the runway mere moments before takeoff.
Fire! Let's go! We can't go! Please! Go! I'm sorry!
See that? Jump and slide.
Passengers in pure panic scrambling down the emergency slides of an American Airlines flight. The frantic escape after the plane's rare, uncontained engine failure at Chicago's O'Hare Airport. Those people stepping off to see the flames and black smoke pouring from under the right wing. Luckily, no one was seriously hurt. And an investigation revealing Mike Pence's plane had faulty brakes, causing it to skid off a New York runway. The NTSB says spoilers on the plane's wings that create drag didn't deploy automatically. The pilot had to do it himself after landing. Tucker?
Thanks, Clayton. Well, just 10 days left until the election, and Hillary Clinton once again under investigation by the FBI. We learned last night, and it threw this race into turmoil. How are Democrats responding? Joining us now is Fox News contributor and Democratic strategist Richard Fowler. Richard, it's great to see you this morning.
Morning,
so
Tucker.
we learned that apparently tens of thousands of relevant emails, presumably containing information that should not have been public, wound up on Anthony Weiner's laptop. Is there a pure distillation of the recklessness with which the Hillary people and Hillary herself handled information than this?
Well, I think we know that this was reckless. I think the FBI Director Comey said this when he dismissed the charges against Hillary Clinton. What makes this story so problematic, in my opinion, Tucker, is that here's the thing. None of these emails are actually from Hillary. We found that in reporting last night. These are emails that are from Huma Abedin to other members of the State Department that were on Anthony Weiner's personal cell phone. Mind you, I think the facts are pretty clear here that Huma Abedin and Anthony Weiner are married. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure most people
Well, we don't.
share
I mean, the facts, in
phones
fact, aren't
and
clear at all. And we
computers.
don't know that at all.
But,
and someone on
but we
Twitter
do
said
know.
that, but it doesn't make it
do
true.
know.
We actually don't know what's in these emails. We have no idea.
No,
And
that's
some
not
reporter
true. I think
at
there's a
another
lot of
network said he had heard
reporters
that.
have already
Let's
confirmed
be real.
that
They
there's
have
no
not
Hillary
confirmed
Clinton
that.
emails here.
Okay, look, there has been no confirmation from the Department of Justice, from the FBI, from Hillary, or from
last night
anybody that this is
Tucker.
true. Some reporter said it on Twitter. Look, think of the things that we have believed to
who
be
have
true
sourced
over the last 6
at
months that have turned out not to be
the
true.
FBI said that these emails are none of these emails are from Hillary Clinton. I think that's been pretty clear.
The FBI
and
has
I
not
think
said
and
that.
I think and no, I said reporters
Some
who have
reporter on
sources
Twitter
in
said
the
it. Look,
FBI
I'm just saying, look, we
said that.
don't know.
And number two.
Okay.
Number two, and most importantly, Tucker, in this whole scenario, whether you're Democrat, Republican, Green Party, Independent, Tea Party, I really don't care. With 11 days before this election, I think the American people deserve to know, the American voters deserve to know what are on these emails, and I think it's time for the FBI to say what they have.
Okay, what the American people deserve to know is that justice is impartial and the people are not treated differently because they're more famous or richer or more powerful. That's the first thing they deserve to know. Second, they deserve to know whose fault this is. And I'd be interested in your take on this. Who's to blame? Is there a right-wing conspiracy under Loretta Lynch in the Justice Department? Is the media somehow putting a thumb on the scale for Donald Trump? I mean, is there anyone to blame other than Hillary Clinton?
No, I don't think there's a blame to go around. I think what we need to see here is the American voter deserves to see these emails. Mike Pence, the vice presidential candidate for Donald Trump, said the same thing yesterday. The American voters deserve to see what this is because we know this is not going to end in 11 days, and people will be voting in 11 days, so they deserve to know this.
Well, the timing is, of course, terrible, but the most important thing, the reason people come to this country from other countries is because they believe everyone who lives here is equal under the law. And so don't you think that calls on Twitter and from the mob and from interested parties to hurry up this investigation are sort of the opposite of what we need? We need to know that justice is being meted out fairly regardless of the political timetable, don't we?
That's a fair point, Tucker. But I think with people getting ready to vote in 11 days, right? And Donald Trump professes to this as yesterday the FBI was rigged. Today the FBI is not rigged. I think we'll figure that out at the end of the day. But what the voters deserve to know here is what the FBI has. And instead of saying we're going to open up investigations, which they never do, we would have never known that Anthony Weiner was under investigation. Because the FBI never talks about their investigations. So this is unprecedented for the FBI to begin with. Right. So what I think needs to happen now is they need to show the American people, the American voters, the independent voters, the undecided voters, what it is they have so these voters can make an educated decision about this election.
Yeah, I think they may be on a different timetable. Their main goal may not be getting Hillary elected, so they may be
No, it's not about getting Hillary or Donald Trump elected. It's about the truth.
Richard, thanks a lot for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good to see you, Tucker.
Democrats say voter fraud is not a big deal. In fact, it never happens. But this morning, there's new proof it does happen. In 2 key battleground states, it is happening. And we've got details just ahead. Plus, if Huma Abedin sent classified emails from her personal account, is she in trouble? And if so, how much trouble? And did James Comey ignore pleas from Loretta Lynch to be quiet? Former DOJ official J. Christian Adams, who knows a lot about this subject, joins us next.
Nothing was marked classified at the time I sent or received it.
Our investigation found that there was classified information sent.
There was nothing marked classified on my emails, either sent or received.
There was classified material emailed.
I thought it would be easier to carry just one device for my work and for my personal emails instead of 2.
She used multiple devices during the 4 years of her term as Secretary of State.
There is evidence that they were extremely careless in their handling of very sensitive, highly classified information. In looking back at our investigations into the mishandling or removal of classified information, we cannot find a case that would support bringing criminal charges on these facts.
Well, you heard the lies and then you heard the corrections. James Comey, the FBI director, contradicting Hillary Clinton, but not indicting her back in July. Now the FBI director has reopened the email case and explained it is his way in a memo to staff, and he said this.
Yeah, quoting now, given that we do not know the significance of this newly discovered collection of emails, I don't want to create a misleading impression in trying to strike that balance in a brief letter and in the middle of an election season. There is significant risk of being misunderstood, but I wanted you to hear directly about it, directly from me about it.
Yeah, here now to weigh in is a former Department of Justice official, J. Christian Adams. Sir, thanks for being with us. A really important news morning. Thanks for being here.
Morning.
All right, so there is a piece out this morning in the New Yorker about how James Comey broke away from Loretta Lynch, also breaking away from normal protocol when it comes to the FBI and the Justice Department. Does that indicate to you what a big deal this is for him to come out just 10 days, 11 days before this election?
Well, it is. He had two separate agents who were leaking, who were close to the investigation, and were going to present a real problem for him as this story developed. But, you know, look, this illustrates, by the way, the problem with early voting laws. Think of all the people who have already cast their ballots for Hillary making uninformed decisions. States shouldn't be voting a month in advance. But look, this is a Justice Department-driven case. It always will be. I'm not sure the sequel is going to be any different than the original, because ultimately it's the DOJ who presents to a grand jury, not the FBI.
So I think all of us in the journalism business have heard from FBI agents in the last 3 months the same story, which is Comey was in effect facing a revolt from within the FBI, from agents who thought that his decision not to pursue this case was wrong, was politically motivated, they're mad at him. Is there any truth to that you know of, and did it play a role in this?
No, absolutely, Tucker. And we're learning yesterday that, you know, remember the story that they destroyed all the evidence, the laptops? We're learning that might not be true, that the agents refused to destroy the evidence in this case. Good. And it still exists. That's very bad news for Hillary Clinton. But look, this is still going to be a DOJ decision. If you listen to Comey's testimony in July, Tucker, he specifically said justice had grave concerns about the case, not Comey.
What about Huma Abedin in all of this? If she sent classified emails to her personal account, now we know this morning, of course, that there are 4 different devices that were seized, were taken. Communication with Anthony Weiner. Some of these emails may have wound up in Anthony Weiner's hands. What kind of trouble is she in this morning?
Well, there is a law that most folks don't know about. It's 18 U.S.C. 1001. It is a law that says if you tell any federal official anything false, you have committed a federal crime. The Justice Department uses this law all the time. They do interviews. They did an interview with Hillary. They interviewed Huma. And then they can go back and look at documents, including these new documents on Carlos Danger's laptop. And they can say, did Huma say anything to us that wasn't true? Did Hillary say anything to us that wasn't true? That's a federal crime.
Yeah. And here's the other problem with the timing of all this. If she's in fact elected, the focus is not going to be this next president and her future plans for this country. Most of the focus is going to be on this for quite a while, it seems.
Yeah, it's already ruining the possible Clinton presidency. It's delegitimizing her. You know, Obama can always pardon her. He can pardon her even if she's not charged. We've had that happen before in this history, where a president pardons uncharged crimes. So, you know, that maybe that's the way you resolve that delegitimate problem.
Do you think Americans can rest easy knowing that potentially national security secrets were residing in Anthony Weiner's laptop? Do you think that was a safe place for them?
The laptop he was Skyping a child about rape fantasies. That's what you get with the Clintons.
Laptop. Okay, right. Yeah, that one. Okay.
Unreal.
So unbelievably
Just when you think this election
sleazy.
couldn't get any more sleazy, it just did.
It just did.
Thanks.
All right.
Christian, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you for
All right,
being
Tucker.
here.
Bye, guys.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, we do, in fact, have some other headlines to get to this morning, believe it or not, and we do start with this. Attorney General Loretta Lynch is refusing to answer questions about a massive cash payment to Iran by the Obama administration. Lynch is now pleading the Fifth about how the $1.7 billion payment was approved and delivered. The money was tied up in a deal to free American hostages. Congressional lawmakers want Lynch to answer 4 questions related to the deal, and by November 4th. And swing state cheaters stepping up their game, first in Virginia, where this man now faces up to 40 years in prison for allegedly registering voters who did not even exist. Then in the crucial state of Florida, 74-year-old poll worker Gladys Coego is accused of filling out absentee ballots intentionally left partially blank. And Tomika Kergil allegedly submitting ballots for at least 5 dead people while working from home. You cannot make this stuff up. All right, and Obamacare could be making people sick. A new study is finding half of consumers who bought health insurance through the Affordable Care Act are now trying to save money by skipping doctor appointments altogether and putting off surgeries. Also finding over only 12% of lower-income customers used walk-in clinics in the past year, and this comes as premiums across the country increase an average of 25%. And the Cleveland Indians shutting out the Chicago Cubs to take the lead in the World Series last night.
Cleveland wins it 1-0.
The Tribe winning with a score of 1-0 in the Cubs' first World Series game at home since 1945. The nail-biting scoreless until the 7th inning when Coco Crisp hit an RBI for the Indians. This is Cleveland's 5th shutout in the postseason. The teams face off again tonight for Game 4 at Wrigley Field. It's a great World Series so far, isn't it?
Yeah, except last night's game. You want to see hits. You want to actually see
0-1 is not fun.
It's like, Janice Dean is standing by with a look at the forecast.
Doing live in the morning. Great to see you, Janice.
Cold out there this morning, Janice.
Yes, this is the first time I am officially wearing a winter coat. Oh my gosh, and they're going to be dealing with winds in excess of 25 miles per hour in Chicago tonight, so keep that in mind. Let's take a look at the freezing temperatures across the Northeast. Well, actually, that's a look at the snow that's north of this system across portions of Maine. We have a new weaker system that's going to move in overnight tonight and bring the potential for some showers tomorrow and maybe some higher elevation snow. And then we also have a system across the west. This is the time of year where they get their precipitation across the west, and we actually might get some beneficial moisture into Southern California. So that will be good news, but we're also tracking that weak system across the Northeast. Now, it's not cold across the central U.S. Look at these temperatures. 83 in Oklahoma City. Holy smokes. St. Louis 84 today. Sunday 73. You get the picture. It still feels like summertime across the central U.S. And here's Game 4 for Saturday. Chicago, the Cleveland Indians were going to be 61 with maybe a shower or two, but the takeaway here is the wind gusts. 25 miles per hour. So what does that do? Any baseball fans with weather-related stuff?
Well, it depends on if it's blowing in. If it's blowing in, that means less home run balls.
So that should be something that I should find out.
Yeah, get back to us on that, Janice.
I will do.
Janice. Is blowing in or out?
Our new sports reporter.
Thanks, Janice. All right, earlier this week, the mainstream press was ready to write off Donald Trump, but now, will that change Trump's new path to 270 electoral votes when Scott Rasmussen joins us next to break it all down?
And then, ouch, someone forgot to tell the vice president about Hillary's email scandal. Watch this.
I don't know where these emails came from. What
apparently Anthony Weiner.
Well, oh God, Anthony Weiner.
Well, that was live television. Is it another example of the Clinton campaign imploding? We're live on the campaign trail next.
50 minutes now at the top of the hour. Back with some quick headlines. Feds bust a deal that would have put military fighter jet parts in the hands of Iran. Federal prosecutors charging 2 California men for conspiring to smuggle more than $3 million worth of parts from F-15s and F-18s. There would be a supplier, an undercover federal agent. Both defendants now pleading not guilty on that. A Trump supporter is thrown in jail over a basket of deplorables T-shirt, mocking Hillary Clinton's comments, slamming voters. Listen.
To just be grossly generalistic, you could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
All right. Well, Brett Mouth wore the shirt and a "Make America Great Again" hat to a Texas polling place where he refused to take the shirt off. He was then arrested, accused of electioneering, has been released on his bail. And those are some of your headlines. Clayton, over to you.
I think people a long time ago made up their minds about the emails. I think that's factored into what people think, and now they're choosing a president. So I would urge everybody to get out and vote early in all the states that have early voting.
Well, Hillary Clinton says her emails don't matter as the race is getting down to the wire with a little more than a week left until voters hit the polls. And early voting, of course, heavily underway already. Despite Clinton being ahead in the polls and the mainstream media seemingly writing off Trump, has the race been called too soon? Here to break down how Trump could still win the White House is president of the Rasmussen Media Group, Scott Rasmussen. Scott, great to see you this morning.
Great to see you, Clayton.
I would say enough of the spin from both sides. Let's throw out the spin from the Trump campaign. Let's throw out the spin from the Hillary Clinton side. Where do things stand now? You brought a football analogy. It's Saturday football day.
Exactly. In football season, you a lot of times have a team that is trailing, but they're close. And the problem is the other team has the ball and is trying to run out the clock. Team Clinton is driving right now, and they're actually winning a couple of states narrowly that were carried by Mitt Romney. So the first thing that Donald Trump and his team have to do is stop Hillary Clinton from winning any of Romney's states.
So 206 electoral votes. He has to play defense on those states.
That's right. And basically that means he has to win Arizona and North Carolina are the toss-up states.
How are things looking in Arizona?
so-so. I mean, these are too close to call right now. But again, Clinton, in the Real Clear Politics average, has a slight lead in these states. So Trump needs a turnover, needs to change the momentum, wrap up all of those states.
Okay, so once he has the defense on those states, how can he, as you say, get in position here?
Well, that's it. You got to start moving the ball down the field yourself. That means winning a couple of key states that were won by Barack Obama 4 years ago, and that is the great states of Ohio and Florida. These are must-win states for Donald Trump if he wants to win in the White House. Now, Ohio, Trump is barely up. Florida, he's a little bit down. Both campaigns have been in these states, very, very active. If Donald Trump wins all the Romney states and wins Ohio and Florida, that gets him to 253 electoral college votes. And you know what it's like in football. That means you're in position to throw a Hail Mary pass.
Right. If you've got Tom Brady in the fourth quarter, then maybe you can pull this off. So the Hail Mary pass for Donald Trump would be what?
Well, the first one is to win Pennsylvania.
That's a tall order, right?
Very tall order. Trump is trailing there by about 5 points. And on top of that, it's a state that Republicans always think they have a chance in and always fall a little bit short. But there are some other paths. One of them would be to win the states of Iowa, Nevada, and New Hampshire. There is some talk that, maybe there's another path that involves a state like Michigan. But the key is Trump needs to get the basics down. He needs to get in position.
So I see this as 269, which does not add up to 270. What happens if that happens?
If he were to get 269 electoral college votes, it would be a tie, and the House of Representatives would pick the president.
So like in the movie Dumb and Dumber, you're telling me there's a chance.
There is a chance, but you know what? I've only seen it happen once to my team, and I've been watching football for longer than there have been Super Bowls.
Well, that's why people watch. We have 11 days left. Can he pull it off and throw the Hail Mary? Scott, great to see you this morning.
Great to see you.
So much. All right. Well, we have a big lineup on deck this morning. Dana Perino, Geraldo.
Now to a Fox News alert. Hillary Clinton's camp circling the wagons, lashing out against their former friends at the FBI over its renewed investigation into her emails.
Rich Edson is following Clinton's campaign today in Daytona Beach, Florida. Rich, how you doing this morning? A lot of news.
Good morning. A lot of news indeed over the last 24 hours, Abby. It left Democrats stunned last evening. And since FBI Director James Comey a couple of months ago had said that the FBI was not recommending charges in the case of Hillary Clinton and her aides in their handling of classified information, Comey felt it incumbent upon himself to update them that they had found new emails and were reopening that investigation. And so that left the Clinton campaign talking about an FBI director who for months they were applauding.
To mind why this step was taken with just 11 days to go. As it is, we now have the worst of all worlds here, where he has aired this in an extraordinary step that would almost never be taken in any other circumstance.
An FBI source tells Fox News that the FBI and investigators had found these additional emails while investigating a joint laptop of Clinton top aide Huma Abedin, owned also by her estranged husband, Anthony Weiner. Remember, the FBI is investigating Anthony Weiner for his alleged contact with a 15-year-old girl, and that's where apparently they stumbled upon these additional emails. With that, Vice President Joe Biden was asked about this and offered a very, very lengthy no comment.
I don't know where his emails came from.
Apparently Anthony Weiner.
Well, oh God. Anthony Weiner. I should not comment on Anthony Weiner. I'm not a big fan. And I wasn't before he got in trouble, so I shouldn't comment on Anthony Weiner.
The Clinton campaign continues this afternoon. She travels here to Daytona Beach, Florida to hold an event. Back to you guys.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you, Rich.
Thanks,
One thing you can say about Joe Biden, he doesn't hold back.
He's honest.
He's an honest guy.
Not a big fan. Anthony Weiner was in Hillary Clinton's inner circle. Pretty amazing.
Yeah. Thank you, Rich.
All right, coming up here, how is the Trump campaign handling the latest bombshell from the FBI? Trump campaign advisor Jason Miller will be here in studio next hour.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Hillary Clinton is calling on the FBI now to release all of its documents on this investigation or on her emails. But can the agency